McWebb says, how much should I put in a Aqua wallet at one time? That's a good question. That's a good question. I would say there's no real limit. I wouldn't say anyways. I mean, you got to be careful with it. You don't want to put too much on there. Like kind of how I think about this is big picture wise, I would say your setup should look something like Lightning wallets like Speed, Koinos, Wallet of Satoshi. You might want to keep like 1% in there. Something that you would keep in your wallet, like at cash, maybe. Because again, if you're using a non-custodial wallet like Koinos, like Speed, like Wallet of Satoshi, these Lightning wallets, if you're, or sorry, they're custodial wallets, which means you don't actually own the Bitcoin. You basically just have an IOU from them saying that you do have the Bitcoin, just like an exchange pretty much. So don't keep too much on there. Aqua is a different story though. Aqua is a non-custodial wallet, which means that you have the keys to that Bitcoin. So you got to be careful with it. You got to be diligent, of course, and make sure that you have your 12 or be 12 words with Aqua. 12 words written down in a safe place. And yeah, you might want to keep like 2 or 3% on there. That's kind of what I do. It's kind of the Bitcoin that I use for spending and stuff. I keep it all in the Aqua wallet because you can keep it on layer 1. They call it a savings account on there, or you can use Lightning too and Tether. So it's a pretty, you can also swap between the two as well. Swap between layer 1, layer 2, USDT. So it's a very handy wallet, very versatile. But then you want to keep about 90% in cold storage, offline. Depending on how much you have, how much Bitcoin you have, it should be in a multi-sig or it should be encrypted, the recovery phrase. Because you have to remember the problem with most people, most Bitcoiners, is that they keep their 12 or 24 words on paper. Most people keep it on paper. Some people, I'd say a small percentage, keep it on steel, which is a little bit better. But the problem with those two things both is that they're written in plain text. Plain text is the vulnerability. When you have any information written in plain text, it's a vulnerability. It's a liability. So what you want to do is you actually want to encrypt that. You want to encrypt your recovery phrase. And that way you can actually geographically disperse your Bitcoin essentially. That's the nice thing about it, is it's unlike gold in the sense that you can't keep it in your basement. You don't have to store it at your house, or you don't have to pay somebody to store it for you, which is also another vulnerability. So everybody has this in their head that, you know, Bitcoin's not real because you can't actually hold it. But I think that that's actually Bitcoin's superpower, because then you can actually store your wealth somewhere that isn't your house, or somewhere that isn't in someone else's custody, right? You can set this up, geographically disperse it, so you can still maintain full ownership. You don't have to trust anybody there. You don't have to have any sort of Bitcoin trace at your house, and you're good to go. You can keep your wealth there, all of it. It's pretty crazy. And then you can hop on a plane. You can go somewhere. You can leave the country for 3 months. You don't have to worry about Bitcoin at your house, any wallets. So that's kind of like that. There's no threshold for how much you want to leave in an Aqua wallet, but just be aware of the risks, because it's a hot wallet. And you want to keep the majority of your Bitcoin cold. Morrow. Good morning, Morrow. Good to see you on Rumble. Paulie. Good morning, BTC Rumblers. Good morning, Paulie. Paulie said yesterday that his dog was chasing coyotes in the woods. So hopefully the dog's okay. On that note, speaking of people who support the show, big shout out to Ian. Ian actually sent in a zap yesterday, a row of ducks, a big row of ducks. So thank you, Ian, for that. Very much appreciated. Unfortunately, it was a little bit late, so it didn't get to put your hat in the ring for the Zap King. And the Zap Queen yesterday was Noah. So we've been doing that every day on the show. The biggest Zap of the day becomes the king or the queen, the Zap King or Queen. And whoever's the Zap King or Queen the most that month is going to get a special little gift from me and Arnie. 88 Sats Radio. So thank you, Paulie, for yesterday. Thank you, Ian. And Bitcoin Bacon Booty. Unfortunately, over on YouTube. but that's okay. Not sticking around anyways. Peeking in at work, but unfortunately can't stick around. Bitcoin is on the brain though. Nice. There's Rick Costa as well. Good morning, Rick. Have you smashed the like yet, especially if you're on Rumble? Doesn't look like many have. Not a whole lot of likes and love over on Rumble today. Sad. Sad. Scotty on Rumble. Good morning, Scotty. Mick Webb says, thanks for the info, Jor. No problem. That's what we're here for. I mean, I don't have a lot of Bitcoin, but just want to have like 3 wallets. Yeah, that's what I would have. If I had, let's say that you had 10 million sats. Let's use a real life example here. 10 million sats. Still achievable. I think 1 Bitcoin's out of reach for most people who don't have several $1 million kicking around, which is kind of crazy to say. Right? Like let's actually just stop and ponder that for a second. Owning 1 Bitcoin is pretty much out of reach for everybody, unless you have not $1 million, but several $1 million, right? Because even millionaires, they don't have a whole lot of free cash flow. They don't have like $1 million in their savings account that they could just plow into Bitcoin. They don't have the free cash flow and they don't have the conviction to do that. So let's go with 10 million sats. What I would do there is I would keep maybe 1 million sats on an Aqua wallet between Aqua and Lightning. I'd keep 1 million sats there. And then I would keep 9 million sats hidden behind a hardware device, like a cold card. Cold card, Passport, Jade, Bitbox. I'm actually in touch with somebody from Bitbox. They reached out to me about 6 months ago, and we had to reschedule a couple times. But I'm kind of curious to try out the Bitbox. So we'll see. We're not going to have any sponsors. Bitbox will not be a sponsor, but I do want to try out their device because according to Hey Apollo, it's actually rated higher than the cold card. So I want to try it out. I'm definitely not going to change my opinion on cold card right away. I've been using cold card. It's all I use. It's all I recommend people use. But yeah, that's kind of like a real life situation there, you might say. That's what I would do. AJTF says, have you seen the stupid meme? Stock short squeezes happening. Tickers open, wrecked, and DNUT, to name a few. No, I haven't seen it. I don't pay attention to any of that shit. Bitcoin. That's all you need. That's kind of the theme of today's show, actually. We'll get to it though. We'll get to that. Build on those. Yeah, that's a good idea. So then, McWebb, I would say that let's say you had 10 million sats, and you heard my example there, but then maybe you get to 15 million sats, or maybe the value of the 10 million sats goes up significantly. The good news, you already have 1 device. You already have 1 hardware device there. So now you might get another one, and you might split those up half and half. And then from there, you just need 1 more device, and then you have a multi-sig setup, and then you're laughing. Then you're going to sleep much better at night.